The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas, first published between 1844 and 1846, is a sweeping adventure novel about betrayal, imprisonment, revenge, and redemption. The story follows Edmond Dantès, a young sailor who is falsely accused and imprisoned, only to escape years later, discover an immense fortune, and reinvent himself as the mysterious Count of Monte Cristo. Dumas's literary style combines adventure, historical fiction, romance, suspense, and intricate plotting, weaving together numerous characters and interconnected storylines. The novel explores themes of justice, revenge, betrayal, fate, identity, power, forgiveness, and the consequences of obsession. The Count of Monte Cristo remains important for its enormous influence on adventure and revenge fiction, while its transformation of Edmond Dantès raises an enduring moral question. When a person takes justice into his own hands, where does justice end and vengeance begin? The story starts with Edmond Dantès returning to Marseille aboard the Pharion, a merchant ship whose captain has died during the voyage. Edmond is only 19, but he has handled the ship with skill, and the owner, Monsieur Morel, is impressed enough to consider making him captain. Edmond is honest, loved by his father, devoted to his fiancée Mercedes, and standing on the edge of a bright future. That happiness, however, makes other men hate him. Danglars, the ship's supercargo, envies Edmond's promotion. Fernand Mondego, Mercedes's cousin, loves Mercedes and cannot bear that she chooses Edmond. Caderousse, Edmond's neighbor, is weak, jealous, and easily drawn into bitterness. Together, they become the beginning of Edmond's ruin. Danglars writes an anonymous accusation claiming that Edmond is carrying a letter from Napoleon to Bonapartist conspirators in Paris. Fernand secretly sends the letter, while Caderousse is too drunk and cowardly to stop the crime. During Edmond and Mercedes's betrothal feast, guards arrive and arrest Edmond. He does not understand the charge, because he truly believes he has only honored his dead captain's request by stopping at Elba and carrying a letter onward. The case falls into the hands of Gérard de Villefort, an ambitious deputy prosecutor who wants to prove his loyalty to the royalist government. At first, Villefort sees that Edmond is innocent and plans to release him. But then Edmond reveals that the letter is addressed to Noirtier, Villefort's own father, a committed Bonapartist. To protect his career and family name, Villefort destroys Edmond's future and sends him to the Château d'If, a prison for dangerous political prisoners. Edmond disappears into the dungeon. Outside, life moves on without him. Morel tries to help but is misled by Villefort's promises. Edmond's father dies of grief and starvation. Mercedes mourns Edmond but eventually marries Fernand, believing her first love is lost forever. Danglars leaves Morel's service and rises in banking. Fernand gains wealth and status through shadowy military dealings. Villefort's career continues to climb. The innocent man suffers while the guilty flourish. For years, Edmond knows nothing of the plot. In prison, despair nearly destroys him. He prays, rages, and eventually decides to starve himself. Just as he nears death, he hears scraping from the wall. The sound belongs to Abbé Faria, an elderly Italian prisoner digging what he thinks is a tunnel to freedom. Faria enters Edmond's cell by mistake, but the mistake becomes Edmond's salvation. Faria is not mad, as the guards believe, but brilliant. He teaches Edmond languages, history, philosophy, mathematics, and politics. More importantly, he helps Edmond understand the betrayal that put him in prison. From Edmond's story, Faria identifies Danglars, Fernand, and Villefort as the men responsible. He also tells Edmond about an enormous hidden treasure on the island of Monte Cristo, once belonging to the Spada family. Faria comes to love Edmond like a son and shares the secret with him. When Faria dies, Edmond uses the body to escape. He replaces Faria's corpse in the burial sack with himself, expecting to be buried, and then dig free. Instead, the guards throw the sack into the sea with a cannonball tied to it. Edmond cuts himself loose, swims through the storm, and reaches safety. After years of imprisonment, he is free. Edmond joins a crew of smugglers and waits for a chance to reach Monte Cristo. Once there, he pretends to be injured so the others will leave him behind. Alone on the island, he searches until he finds Faria's treasure. The fortune is immense. Edmond gives thanks, then begins rebuilding himself into a man with wealth, secrecy, and power. The sailor Edmond Dantès becomes a series of masks: Sinbad the Sailor, Abbé Busoni, Lord Wilmore, and finally the Count of Monte Cristo. Before seeking revenge, Edmond rewards the good. Disguised as Abbé Busoni, he visits Caderousse and learns the full truth of the conspiracy. Caderousse confirms that Danglars, Fernand, and Villefort caused Edmond's imprisonment, and that he himself failed to intervene. Edmond also learns that Morel, the only man who tried to help him, is near financial ruin. Disguised as an English representative, Edmond buys Morel's debts, delays payment, and then secretly saves him. Just as Morel is about to kill himself from shame, his daughter Julie finds the red purse once given to Edmond's father, now filled with paid debt notes, and a diamond for her dowry. A new ship, built to replace the lost Pharaon, arrives in port. Morel's honor and family are saved. Years later, Monte Cristo enters European society through Rome. He meets Franz d'Épinay and Albert de Morcerf, Fernand and Mercedes's son. In Rome, Monte Cristo shows his strange power over bandits by arranging the rescue of Albert from Luigi Vampa's gang. Albert, grateful and dazzled, promises to introduce Monte Cristo to Paris society. This gives Monte Cristo the opening he needs. In Paris, Monte Cristo enters the homes of his enemies without being recognized. Fernand is now the Count de Morcerf, a senator and nobleman. Danglars is a wealthy banker. Villefort is a powerful prosecutor. Only Mercedes recognizes Edmond beneath the Count's new identity, and she is frightened by what he has become. Monte Cristo moves carefully, building traps around each man through the secrets they have tried to bury. He buys a house in Auteuil, where his steward Bertuccio reveals a dark story from Villefort's past. Years earlier, Villefort had an affair with Madame Danglars. When she bore his child, Villefort buried the infant alive in the garden. Bertuccio, seeking revenge against Villefort for another injustice, stabbed him and stole the box, only to discover the baby still alive. The child survives and grows into Benedetto, a cruel criminal. Monte Cristo turns this old crime into a weapon by presenting Benedetto in Paris as Andrea Cavalcanti, a wealthy Italian heir. Monte Cristo also studies Madame de Villefort, Villefort's second wife, who wants her son Edward to inherit. He speaks to her about poisons and even provides knowledge that enables her crimes. Soon deaths begin in the Villefort household. The Saint-Méran die, and Barrois, Noirtier's servant, is poisoned after drinking lemonade meant for Noirtier. Valentine, Villefort's daughter and Maximilien Morel's beloved, becomes the next target because her inheritance stands in Madame de Villefort's way. At the same time, Monte Cristo exposes Fernand's past. Adi, a Greek woman Monte Cristo rescued from slavery, is revealed as the daughter of Ali Pacha, ruler of Yanina. Fernand betrayed Ali Pacha to the Turks, helped cause his death, stole his treasure, and sold Adi and her mother into slavery. With Adi's testimony and documents naming Fernand, the chamber publicly condemns him. Albert at first blames Monte Cristo and challenges him to a duel. But Mercedes visits Monte Cristo and begs him not to kill her son. She learns fully that the Count is Edmond and still loves the man he once was. Monte Cristo agrees to spare Albert, even if it means letting Albert kill him. Before the duel, Mercedes tells Albert the truth. Albert apologizes to Monte Cristo and refuses to fight. He and Mercedes leave Fernand's wealth behind, choosing poverty over a fortune built on betrayal. Monte Cristo gives Mercedes the small sum Edmond once saved for their future together, hidden at his father's old home in Marseille. Fernand confronts Monte Cristo and demands his identity. Monte Cristo appears dressed as a sailor, and Fernand recognizes Edmond Dantès. Having lost his honor, wife, and son, Fernand kills himself. Danglars falls through greed. Monte Cristo ruins him through financial manipulation, encouraging false information that leads to enormous losses. Danglars then tries to repair his fortunes by marrying his daughter Eugénie to Andrea Cavalcanti, believing Andrea to be fabulously rich. But Eugénie wants independence, not marriage, and plans to flee with her music teacher, Louise d'Armilly. At the signing of the marriage contract, Andrea's criminal identity is exposed, and he flees. He is captured after accidentally entering the room where Eugénie and Louise are hiding during their own escape. Andrea's trial becomes Villefort's catastrophe. In court, Andrea reveals that he is Villefort's abandoned son, the child buried alive in Auteuil. Villefort, unable to deny the truth, admits his guilt. Before going to court, he has already confronted Madame de Villefort about the poisonings and ordered her to kill herself rather than face public execution. When he returns home, he finds she has obeyed, but she has also killed their son Edward. Faced with the dead child, Monte Cristo is shaken. Villefort asks whether Edmond's vengeance is complete now, and for the first time, Monte Cristo doubts the justice of what he has done. Villefort goes mad. Valentine, Villefort's daughter, however, is not dead. Monte Cristo secretly saves her by replacing poisoned drinks and giving her a drug that makes her appear dead. He hides her away to protect her from Madame de Villefort. Maximilian, Valentine's beloved, believes Valentine is gone and wants to die from grief. Monte Cristo reveals to him that he is Edmond Dantès, the secret savior of the Morel family, and asks Maximilian to trust him for 1 month. If Maximilian still wishes to die at the end of that time, Monte Cristo promises to help him. Danglars receives his final punishment in Italy. After stealing 5 million francs meant for a hospital, he is captured by Luigi Vampa's bandits under Monte Cristo's orders. They do not torture him physically. Instead, they charge him absurd sums for food until hunger forces him to spend nearly all the money he stole. When Danglars finally breaks and repents, Monte Cristo reveals himself as Edmond Dantès, forgives him, and lets him go. Danglars leaves alive but ruined, his hair turned white from terror. At last, Monte Cristo brings Maximilian to the island of Monte Cristo. Maximilian still wants death, believing Valentine lost forever. Monte Cristo gives him a liquid that he thinks is poison, but it only puts him into a deep sleep. When Maximilian wakes, Valentine is alive beside him. Monte Cristo has tested his love and rewarded his faithfulness. He gives Maximilian and Valentine his property in France and on Monte Cristo as a wedding gift. Monte Cristo also finds his own chance at life again. Adi, who has loved him with complete devotion, refuses to be sent away or restored to a life without him. Monte Cristo realizes that her love may be a sign that he is not meant only for vengeance and loneliness. He leaves with Adi, while Maximilian and Valentine are directed toward marriage and the future of happiness. The story ends with Monte Cristo's final lesson. Human beings cannot truly understand happiness unless they have known despair. Edmond Dantès has lived through innocence, betrayal, imprisonment, revenge, doubt, mercy, and love. His final message to Maximilian and Valentine is simple. All human wisdom rests in 2 words: wait and hope.